Welcome back. Welcome back to the Web Bros Podcast. It's been a minute, but we're so glad to be back in this episode, and we're going to be diving into a question that's been lingering on our mind lately. What makes good people go bad? How do we form our concepts of morality? How do concepts like religion and politics divide us? And we're going to explain this through some real world scenarios and a couple of hypotheticals to debate whether it's fair to judge others based on how they think and act. As always, I'm your host, James Perez, and I'm joined by
Elijah.
Oh, Elijah Reyes.
and
Bobby Diaz.
how are all of you guys doing today? It's been a minute, but I'm very glad to be back. Elijah, you want to explain our absence?
We're lazy. No, we've been preoccupied with very important things.
Oh,
We are.
wait, sorry. You go. I'll go after.
I'm done. You can go.
Okay. So we started another podcast called The Silver Lining.
You're plugging it.
Yes, we're plugging it. That's where we've been. So catch that when the episode comes out. We're really excited.
The one.
The one.
We'll have more coming very soon, though, so it's okay.
Would you like to expand on what or the Silver Lining podcast is? Actually, maybe I'll expand.
Oh,
It's our more journalistic.
I'll explain it. So we're really excited about it. It's our brand new news-focused podcast. So the Web Bros is, of course, super funny and just us being us. And Silver Lining is more serious. And yeah.
All right, so thank you for doing that quick plug, but without further ado, let's go whip our way right into it. You're listening to
The Web Bros Podcast.
Web.
Bros.
the Web Bros Podcast. All right, guys,
I like that.
welcome back, and I'd like to just open this up for discussion first. But if anyone has any examples of good people going bad, Elijah, I know you've been wanting to bring up a few people.
Yeah, dude, Epstein.
I don't think he was ever a good person.
I don't think I was a good president. I mean, the big one I learned when I was doing like psychology classes is Zimbardo's Stanford experiment, and there's also a movie about it.
Who was that?
He's a psychologist, a social experiment psychologist, or whatever you call it, and he did a study where you had two groups. One became was it officers?
Yeah, officers and guards.
Yeah, there were guards, and the other ones were prisoners, and kind of how
I lied. Yeah, officers and guards are the same thing.
and how kind of like yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can.
And kind of just how that power dynamic between those two roles and how does giving this role influence their what do you call it, their identity of how they act.
So, like positions of power,
Yeah.
how that influences how people
And
respond in certain
it
scenarios.
it did not last very long because it started getting very severe.
I think it was about like 6 days. Is what
Yeah.
it was.
It didn't last too long, and it was like, was this really an ethical experiment to have to that extent when people started getting hurt physically and emotionally? So
But I have a question for that. Was there anything wrong with doing this experiment, in your opinion?
it's the fact that you've pushed it to the extent that people did get hurt, that people did get scarred from this experiment.
So we're saying that's the line for anything then. If it impacts people to the point where they're hurt mentally or physically, is that the line that we're drawing here, or what?
In some way, yeah. Because I mean, the whole experiment question, it's like, what causes normal everyday people that they had the same type of aspirations, or they're all college students. What makes these normal people act differently?
Mhm.
And the whole entire thing was the power dynamic.
Yeah.
And in the extent that it did go wrong because
What? No, I was gonna. Yeah, you finished.
no, I don't add.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I think that is interesting. It's like if you take all these normal people, because think about it. Before the experiment, they were all the same. They were just normal civilians, right? And then you take it and you put half of them in power. All of a sudden, they're gonna be like, "Well, I'm not the same as you anymore." Like, you know what I mean? You have to listen to me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think that power trip for a lot of people is what makes them go like, "Oh, like why do we have to be the same if I'm better than you?"
And what's interesting is that like post interviews about the experiment, the people that were the guards, it's like some of them were like, I didn't do anything necessarily wrong because it is what the experiment entitled me to do. It's like is it wrong that I am doing what I am told for the better of this experiment and for the message of it? Or is it wrong because you believe that I became a bad person when I was just doing it for the experiment?
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
But I don't think so. I think that's a cop out for sure.
Why is that a cop out? Think about it like this, Elijah. You said this experiment happened in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
So let's take that to today. Let's say let's say us web bros, right? We get thrown into this, and let's say the rest of the people at our college are thrown into this experiment as well. And let's say that we're also in a couple of different positions of power here. Elijah, what were some of the positions of power in the experiment?
I think it was mostly, I don't remember much, but I mostly remember it's just guards and prisoners.
Guards and
It's
prisoners.
as simple as that.
Okay, so let's think about it like this. Let's say Bobby and I are both guards here, and you're a prisoner.
Don't fuck.
And you're a prisoner, and obviously there's a certain type of dynamic there that gets changed from just us being friends to the point where we kind of are in the position where we kind of have to see you as a less of a human being,
You already do.
right? Okay. But Elijah, just want to maybe just like touch on that and talk about how you would feel if you were put into that sort of predicament right now.
I mean, like, I'm probably if I'm put in a lesser role. I mean, initially, if it is for the experiment, I'd understand, because it's like I'd also be intrigued of how this power dynamic would be.
So would you want to try this for a week?
I don't know.
Why not?
I mean, if we're gonna use that experiment as context, there's already a risk of people possibly doing bad things to me because they have that power.
But how do we determine if those are necessarily bad, though? If you're already kind of opting into, this experiment, is there anything wrong with us doing these things to you?
Isn't that the ethics?
But is there anything wrong with hurting someone emotionally or physically
See,
if that's what they're signing up for and they're already aware?
Hold on.
see, isn't that the ethical dilemma?
Well, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to be, right? It's like you're not put in this position like, hey, you're a guard. I want you to hurt these people. It's like that's your choice that you're making being in power. You can just be in power and still treat them as normal people. Nothing changes for you. It just matters how you handle that power.
But the question is, though, what makes good people go bad? Don't you think it's because a lot of this time, when people are in these positions of power, it kind of just gets to them?
I don't think so. I think it matters on the I get what you're saying too, and I think it matters on the person personally. I feel like I don't think every person, and I'm not saying this goes for everybody. That's super extreme. I'm saying like I feel like a normal person being put into power, I feel like, especially with prisoners too, especially like if you have that empathy, I think that's what a big part of morality is. It's your morality point. It's your empathy for other people. You know what I mean?
You're saying empathy and morality are one? Is that what you're trying to say?
I think the more empathetic you are, the greater your morals are. You know what I mean? Like,
but how would you define morality? Where do you get your own morals from?
I think because I'm a really empathetic person. So it's like, yeah, if I see these prisoners and if they're just being prisoners they just happen to mess up in life and now they're just paying the consequences for that, I don't want to.
But where did you
treat them harshly?
But where did you learn to develop that? Hey, I should feel empathetic towards these people. What taught you that?
That's a good question, actually.
And that's why I kind of want to get into maybe a separate hypothetical.
Okay.
Here. So there's this book I'm actually just starting to read. It's called The Righteous Mind, I believe, by Jonathan Haidt. I believe, hopefully that's how you pronounce his name. But it was a very interesting book because one of the first examples that it gives that it gave me was there's a family, right? And they have listen.
We're listening.
There's a family and they had a pet dog, right? Their dog was playing out, outside of their garage, and unfortunately it was run over by a car just driving by through the street, right? And when the family saw this, obviously, they were devastated. But they had heard, maybe online or through some friends that maybe dog meat is pretty good. That's what they heard. And so what they did was they took the dog's dead body and they brought it back into their home. They cut it up and they cooked it and then they ate it. And initially, when you hear a story like that, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's awful. That's horrible. That dog was a part of the family. How could someone do this? That's evil. But the more I thought about it, is there anything necessarily wrong with? I'm not saying I would do that. I'm just saying it's like, can you really judge someone for doing something like that? And there's another thing to kind of tie back into that, and that's they didn't kill the dog purposefully. They didn't injure the dog at all. The dog was already dead. So it's not like they caused any harm, and they were just trying something new. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I'm
Is
really
that a
thankful
bad
you
thing to
remembered
do?
the first page of the book, James.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, you could say a lot about that. You could say a lot about that specific passage because, I mean, there's that whole thing of like with, is it bad to say it, like how Asians eat dogs?
I was not even thinking about that.
No, because listen, if we're talking about morality is not just deeply rooted in like, it's deep
not just
where we
one
come
culture,
from.
It's in multiple.
Exactly. And is it morally wrong that this is just how other cultures eat, like how other cultures consume food or what their food? And even if they're not Asian, right?
Like in India with cows.
Okay, or like monkey brain, but like, you know, but like, it can also be like if this is just a normal family, eating the dog could or consuming the live animal is our way of accepting maybe a circle of life or accepting that this dog was a part of a family. So
But
let it be part of us.
so if you're saying
It's like when we go to a farm
finish.
and
Oh,
like
that's
we
good.
have a pet pig, right? And then we kill the pig, we turn to bacon. Okay, raise your hand, big boy. What do you
Okay.
want?
I just wanted to add on to that really quick. So you were talking about how, in different cultures, some things like this are socially acceptable, right? You were mentioning Asian cultures.
Me.
Elijah mentioned that.
My
by the way.
dad has eaten a dog.
Okay, well, let me continue. So if it's okay in one culture, right? Let's say that's in like somewhere in Asia, and then you come here to America and you do that same thing. Obviously, that's not, socially accepted here. Does it make it more wrong or more right here in America compared to somewhere in Asia where that is acceptable?
I don't think at that point it's not even about moral. I wouldn't even say it's about morals. It's just a cultural difference. So that's like a different
But
conversation.
that
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Plays into it
Really?
though.
Well, because here's the thing. It's like, well, I don't know how they do it in Asia, and the people that primarily do shut the people that primarily do eat dog, because it's like, are they, because like us eating like pork and like, steak and stuff like
Yeah.
that, it's not our cow. You know what I mean? So we have no relation to it.
Yeah.
That's where in the dilemma it becomes weird, because it was their pet, it was their animal that they're now eating. It's like,
Yeah.
how can you eat something that you once loved? That's what's weird about it. But in Asia, they're probably just eating dog because it's the same way as us just eating cow. You know what I mean? It's not like they're eating their dog. And if they are eating their dog, well, then I think that's a different argument.
Love tastes better. But I mean, there's also different reasons why like different food. Is it like how some cultures will like how they murder the animal or the cattle, or how they murder the animal.
Is it murder though? Do you consider it murder?
How they
people definitely
how
do.
they what do you, it's another
Well,
way
that's
to
some
kill.
people, but that's
How-
not exactly how I would define it.
Like-
So are they right or wrong for thinking that murdering the cow is wrong?
Is it murder though?
Because there's different ways to
Or killing.
actually. Is it halal?
I don't know.
Halal shack?
No, halal is like when I forgot what I'm talking about, but it's like how you kill like the animal in like a more humane way is to kind of respect the animal that you are consuming. That is a different culture's moral way of consuming meat compared to how in America we just freaking pump that shit up with like some chemicals and shit and kill them fucking baby chicks and shit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I can kind of see what you're coming from, because I have another example from this book that I wanted to
Oh
share
God,
with you guys.
he called me that this
Elijah,
morning.
I-
So there was a man who would frequently go to his local grocery store. I think this was about like every other day, right? So he would go to a grocery store and he would buy a whole rotisserie chicken, right? He would take this rotisserie chicken and he would have intercourse with the chicken, and he would, finish the job in said chicken, and he would eat it afterwards. I believe that's how the passage went. Maybe I completely misconstrued it or something like that, but I believe that is how the passage went. And it kind of just made me think. If you're going out and you're buying something, it's not like you killed the thing. It's not like it was alive when he was doing it. Like he bought the chicken, right? And he's doing it in the privacy of his own home. Is there anything wrong with that?
Well, I think
Well-
what the book was saying to try to defend it was he bought it, so technically it was his property and he can do whatever he wants
Yeah.
with it. That's what it was trying to defend.
What do you think?
That's
I think it's still wrong and incredibly fucked up. It's like I don't care if he bought it or not, because think about it, like going back into like the slave days.
So is it
was
worth
gonna
it
say that
like
then.
just
Yeah.
a live chicken? It
Well,
doesn't-
no. Here's the thing. In the animal, no matter what, if it's alive or dead, is wrong. It doesn't matter. I think it's actually in somewhat way weirder that it's dead. Actually, no, I lied.
But what
It'd be
makes
really weird
it
if
wrong
alive.
if he's not inflicting any harm on anything?
Because he's still in a chicken, James.
if
Like,
you like dead people, are you hurting anybody? No.
There,
but
what's,
Weird.
it's
It's
still
disrespect.
wrong.
what's the difference between a dead human and a dead animal, though? What's the difference?
For me, there's no
where-
that's
difference.
what I'm
They're
saying.
both living
Drawing the
animals.
line?
No,
The
I
line is you don't eat dead
I'm
things.
not saying I agree with this. I just want to hear what you guys have to say.
I'm so thankful you clarified that.
I think no matter what, in animals is wrong. You know what I mean? It's weird if they're
But,
alive. If they're hold on, that just looks weird. I look like a chicken now. Whoa, Elijah.
Whoa! I want to do something to you.
But
Okay, James has been calling me a chicken for the past couple of days, and I don't know what that says about me or him. I'm good, sir, Bob.
okay, let's go back. Let's circle back to that. So I feel like, I think it's wrong no matter what because it's. I think animals is wrong regardless if they're alive or dead. And I think it doesn't matter if because he bought it, it doesn't make it his. I mean, it does in a way, but it's like. Yeah, it's just weird and it's wrong, and I feel like there's just no defending that. Even if he bought it and it's his, it's like who cares? You're still a weirdo. You know what I mean?
I
Just got a
guess.
girlfriend, dude.
Yeah, and I think,
Okay,
I think
guys,
that's the
guys.
thing too. It's like
I low-key lied. I somewhat got the story a little bit wrong. I just pulled it up. So it was a man goes to the supermarket once a week and buys a chicken. But before cooking the chicken, he has sexual intercourse with it. Then he cooks it and eats. Actually, I wasn't that far off. It was just the
Yeah.
date. He wasn't a rotisserie chicken. It was like a raw chicken. Then he.
that's even worse.
Raw chicken? I mean,
Salmonella. You know what I mean?
Not like I do it though.
Yeah, but it's
But I mean, and it says, once again, there's no harm in this because nobody else knows. And like the dog eating family, it involves a kind of recycling that is, as some of my research subjects pointed out, an efficient use of natural resources.
it's not
But now,
efficient.
but now the disgust is so much stronger and the action seems so degrading. But does that make it wrong?
That's the weird part about it too, because no one knows about it. Like that's the thing that makes him feel like
But
it's
that's the
okay
thing,
because no
that's
one
the
knows.
thing.
But no, hold on. Just think about it like this. You think if that person were to tell people, like, oh yeah, guys, here's my little secret. When I buy chickens, I fuck them and then I eat
But
them.
that's the question that it's asking. For you, and as most people on the planet, morality is extremely broad. Some actions are wrong even though they don't hurt anyone. So it's understanding the simple fact that morality differs around the world and even within societies is a first step towards understanding the righteous mind. And the next step is to understand where these many moralities came from in the first place.
Okay, so sorry, James, you go. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, that's just I think that's what it's trying. Obviously, that is what it's trying to say because I literally just read the passage. But what are some of your thoughts?
Okay, so it sounds like you were done, and I could have just gone. Anyways, I feel like because going back to the experiment we were just talking about, we said it was wrong because it hurts people, right? But then looking at the passage from the book, we think that some things are wrong even if no one's getting hurt. So where is that line actually? If it's not just people getting hurt
That's
and stuff like that, so okay, so where do you think that line is?
It is developed inside of our brains
Yeah.
when we're children in the stages that are, in the stages that are most needed for, when we're actually starting to learn about, basic principles of, like respect, like basic, human rights and stuff like that, right? So I feel like everyone here has their own moral compass of sorts, but I would say since we've all kind of lived here in the U.S. For the most part, like our sense of morality is about the same. I would say, compared to say if we met someone in like Russia, maybe, or like Australia, or like Pakistan.
But I don't think so. I don't
You don't
think.
think so?
I don't
You
think-
it's like it's mostly the same, but it's slightly different, and there's like these slight differences that might seem weird to other people at first, but when you start to learn a little bit more about the culture, what's kind of expected, it starts to make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, but I don't think it matters necessarily on country. I think you're right. I think like me and some people. I think there is some like geographical and culture differences in it, but I think overall it doesn't really matter where you're from
I don't
because
think so.
we still have people in the U.S. that have entirely different morals, and it's not based on the way we were raised. I mean, it is based on the way we were raised, but it's not based on our culture.
location.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
That's what I
based
mean.
on what though? Politics,
Dude, that's
religion.
exactly those in my opinion are bigger factors. If you have someone who is incredibly religious, they're going to think one way, and if you have someone who's not really into religion, they're going to think of another way. Because going back to like what we were talking about religion, if you have someone who believes that in order to get to heaven you have to be a good person, they might only be a good person for that outcome. But then you have some people that aren't religious who don't believe in a heaven or hell and still just be a good person because that's what they want to do with their life, not based on whatever their God tells them to do.
Okay. I think you can also think about it like this, and I'll throw this over to Elijah once I'm done. But think about the most like liberal. Okay, I'm gonna be going to a little bit more stereotypes here. Think about that, like the most liberal atheist person that you know, and like the most conservative Christian that you may also know, and try to
James.
think what is like one common thing they could agree on. Elijah.
You said a liberal.
Think about the most like
Atheist.
liberal atheist you know and the most conservative Christian you know. What is one thing that they can find common ground on? If we're gonna think, right?
that
Because
baby
like
shouldn't die.
based on Bobby's,
You shouldn't kill like a kid.
Well,
you gotta be more specific than that.
What would be a common thing they would agree on?
uh,
Yeah, but
I think with one thing they could probably agree on is they need to make the country a better place, but they
Yeah.
just have different ideas of how to get there.
And that's kind of what I was trying to guess. Thank you, Bobby, for taking that bone right there. We all kind of have a basic idea of, respect and somewhat acceptance, I would say, probably across the globe, right?
Sorry, one more
Right.
time. Repeat
I
that.
feel like we have a basic idea of, acceptance and like respect across the globe, right? But it's
I hope
the
so.
way that we get to those points that varies so greatly from individual to individual. Like like Elijah back here, right? Pop it to Elijah. Elijah's idea of what peace and prosperity is probably a lot different than Bobby's, right? So Elijah, I want you to just talk about this for a second. What do you see to make this a more peaceful and perfect union here in the U.S.? What would you want to see right now, and how can we get there?
we start listening. Instead of fucking yeah.
But start listening to who? Start listening to
Everybody.
what?
Everybody's point of view. We all have to come like into a common. We're all be on a common ground to at least make things better or feel better. But I feel like a big thing that we don't do is we don't take the time to listen. We'll usually talk over.
So I think that's the thing too. It's like if you look at it like in terms of racism, I feel like primarily I don't know. I don't want to stereotype.
You can say
anybody.
whatever you want, Bobby.
Okay, yeah. So you think about
Free
people
world.
raised in the South, they grew up probably thinking one way. If they have like not ancestors, but people in their family who were in, you know what I mean, maybe in the KKK or were Confederates. You know what I mean? They're gonna look at it and think of racism as one certain way. So they're gonna be brought up thinking that. But are they wrong for thinking that if that's all that they know? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Elijah.
Yeah, they're wrong.
But why are they wrong? What makes it wrong?
My issue is that people don't listen. If they're not hearing people out, then I think you're wrong for not having that component.
So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, so what they're listening to is being brought up to be a racist. That's what they're hearing. That's what they're listening to. So when you look at someone who has a different view, yeah, they're gonna hear it, but it's like, are they gonna believe it when what they've been raised to believe is entirely different? We can all hear what we have to say. That's not gonna change our beliefs one way or the other. We're still gonna believe what we believe.
I think that's a really good point that you did just bring up there, Bobby, because I wanted to go back to an episode that we had over the summer. Are we getting drafted or what? And that one, obviously, we were getting into a lot of political discussions in that one. But Elijah had a really interesting comment that at the time I thought was
Really silly.
not just silly,
Outrageous.
low-key crazy, and maybe slightly insensitive. But now maybe Elijah, if you want to touch on that to maybe explain yourself a little bit more, maybe defend yourself, I won't throw it over to you.
Okay. Over the summer, I said there's some good apples within the Nazis. Or not Nazis are not that bad.
That is what you said. Okay, defend yourself.
For me, right? In comparison to like let's say in America, right? We send people. What do you call it? When we send them. When we draft people to the army,
Deployment?
or when we want people to join, the cause of our country, we have a lot of propaganda and reasoning as to why you should help our country. Now, for them, right? They probably would have. Germany was in a terrible time, after World War, like during World War I, they were shit on. After World War I, they were shit on. Before World War II, they were shit on. Who was the guy that picked up the country? Unfortunately, it was a guy named Hitler. Yeah, so he's the one who kind of picked up that country.
Okay, defend Nazis. Go.
Wait. People are like what you said, right, Bob? That people have grown up thinking a certain way. They listen to that way. When people are in a certain position, they will like.
Go what?
What was I saying? Oh yeah,
I don't fucking know.
Right. Some of these people are doing things for the cause of the country because they were a poor country. They were like basically in a big hole. And so they will do anything to find that liberation. They will do anything to feel good about themselves again. So these
Okay, I'm going to cut you off right there. You're right behind me, and I just want to bring this up. But if you're actively aware of the, like atrocities that are being committed, don't you feel like you have a choice on whether you're going to be complicit in that or not?
Well, yes and no. Like, kind of more of like the same thing too. I don't know the history on this. So you can quote me if I'm wrong. But what if like?
Quote you if you're wrong.
Okay, you can fix me if I'm wrong. But like, okay, so if we were getting drafted in the war, what if just Germans were getting drafted in the war when Germany was losing? So they had to become Nazis because they got drafted the same way we became soldiers. Get the out of my shot, Elijah. Anyways, you know what I mean? So what if they like obviously knew what was wrong and they didn't want to fight, but then they felt like they had to because they either kind of the same thing we did. They either be killed or be put into prison if they didn't join the war.
And you'd also and during that time period, if you didn't fight, right? Like let's even look at kamikaze bombers when people would back out, right? They would be shit on by their entire country, even if people were getting killed.
But is it not worth it to accept that so that way you can have a livable conscience by the end of that war?
That's the problem.
Here's the thing. Regimes always change. They'll always cycle out. So, I don't know.
Well, even then, even if it cycles out, like, okay, shout out to Godzilla -1 for this pool right here. Because that's the thing. It's like you have this pilot who was a disgraced kamikaze. You come home, your fucking parents are dead, your house is destroyed, and the only people you have around you, they hate you for being alive because you were supposed to die in that war. You disgraced your family, you disgraced yourself, and you disgraced your honor.
Survivor's guilt.
Exactly. And you have this weird survivor's guilt. So I feel like that happened to a lot of people during war. So you know that it's morally wrong, but you feel like you have no choice to do that.
We are guided by.
But why are we taught to believe that though, Elijah?
Because we are not just made by ourselves, we are made by societal pressure. And that's a big thing why we will do things even if it makes us feel uncomfortable. We go out of our comfort zone whether it is good or whether it is bad because we need to conform. That it's part of survival. To survive, we must conform. That's why we find careers. That's why we want to find friends. That's why we want to find other interests that other people are interested in. It's the idea of conforming to the world around us to survive, whether it is right or whether it is wrong.
I think too, because that's the thing. It's like we think it's morally wrong, right?
My dog.
Okay. So like a kamikaze pilot and the Japanese soldiers and the Nazis, we in America view them as wrong, right? But so that's what I'm saying. So some of them will see their actions as morally wrong and then will want to step away from that, like the pilot in Godzilla -1. But some other people believe that what they're learning is right. It's like, oh, to die for my country is very honorable. That's the way I want to go. They were brainwashed, in my opinion, to believing that that was right. But we also believe that what they were doing is wrong. So it's like to them, they're doing the right moral choice, but for us, it's wrong.
I kind of want to take that opportunity that from what you just said, Bobby, to kind of wrap this up nicely for this episode here. So you're saying that, and if you I'm quoting you wrong, I don't want to misquote you
Mm.
on this. I don't want to misfix you or whatever you were saying earlier. Okay, Elijah. But
Bottom line.
so you're saying it's what the government that they're kind of the country they're born into has an effect because that obviously affects what their parents and how they think, operate, and feel, and that kind of that influences its way into the household of how people develop their own sense of what is necessarily right and what is wrong. If I hope I'm somewhat getting that.
Yeah, right. So like to me, it's hard for us to decide for them if they made the right decision or the wrong decision because they were believed one thing, and some people were to step away from that belief, and they were seen as disrespecting their honor, their family, their heritage, and all this other stuff. So it's like we just put these really pressurous norms on them, and it's hard to decide for them if that's right or wrong. And I feel like they need to make that decision for themselves. Exactly, going back to that, we decide our morality is what's right and what's wrong.
Okay. And I want to throw this over to Elijah now. So Elijah, from your personal experiences, as a kid up until now, do you feel like you have been given your like own autonomy to determine what your own sense of morality is? Or do you think you're always kind of forever going to be controlled by, what was kind of instilled in you as a child?
Yes and no. My decisions are based on what I believe or what I thought was right growing up, but that doesn't mean that I strip away my own freedom of choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Yeah, because it's like you're raised to believe one thing, but as you get older, it's like you don't have to stick to that belief. You're free to make your own choices. And if that drifts apart from what you were taught, I don't think that makes you, again, I don't think it makes you a good person or a bad person. It makes you your own person.
Because I mean,
And because what, Bobby, at the end of the day?
At the end of the day, you're you.
I thought you were supposed to say I'm a person.
Oh, I am a person. Also, wait, hold on. I want to go back to this too. If we, as normal people in society, we believe that killing people is wrong, yes or no?
Yes, that is wrong.
depends.
Okay, that's a good answer, Elijah.
I
But
think the answer is yes, no matter what. It will slightly, I think it kind of will always lean towards being wrong.
you want to? Okay,
No.
And I can elaborate on that a little bit because what gives you the authority or the right to take away someone else's life? And before someone goes and says, well, what if someone is threatening to take your own life? We're going to go back to like, before they even think about it, before they even think about doing that to you, what gives them the right to do that to you first? That's the way I kind of think about it. I don't think anyone has the right to take away anyone's life, regardless of anything.
so what changes in an act of war, right? It's like,
Well, obviously, those are more extreme examples, but I'm just saying before you even get to that point, you would hope that people would have the idea that they shouldn't have the right to take away anyone else's life. But obviously, that we don't live in that type of world. I'm just saying that would be like, that's more of like an idealistic type of view.
no, I get
have.
that too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So if a soldier kills someone in war, are
If
they
a soldier
regarded as a
kills
bad person?
Someone in war, I don't think they're a bad person necessarily because they're doing what they have been told and forced to do. And if they don't comply with that, there's going to be consequences likely for themselves and potentially even their family and the rest of their loved ones. So I don't really see anything inherently wrong with that. I'm just saying I don't believe as human beings we should have the right to take away another human being's life.
Okay, Elijah, you also said it depends on that. So I want to ask you, I want to put you in a situation. Let's say,
I'm on the extreme. If someone's like committed a horrific crime, you don't deserve to live. Let's say a rapist.
But how do you determine that? It's all determined back when we were talking about morality. And do we as human beings have the right to make that determination ourselves?
See, I'm in the mixed bag because like I'm in the belief that sometimes we should have the death penalty. And sometimes I feel like we have the death penalty because there's some people that, go out of the way to do horrific crimes, and I don't think you should live because you've conflicted more than just death. You've conflicted psychological and physical pain. But at the same time, the death penalty could be heavily abused by our country.
yeah, but also like, okay, what's worse, the death penalty or spending your entire rest of your life in prison?
The death penalty.
I don't think so. I think the death
I don't
penalty.
believe you deserve to breathe. I don't care where you are. If you're like someone who committed a horrific crime, you don't deserve to breathe at all.
I don't think so.
Why should you get to make that determination, Elijah? Why?
I don't.
But even
You
then,
don't wait, you don't
That's just what
What?
I believe.
That doesn't make sense.
What do you mean?
You're saying that you don't believe that someone should make that determination, but you want that to happen?
I mean, it's like I'm not by determination. You mean like I would?
Why
Not-
should you be able, or why should other people be able to dictate the end of someone's life?
That's
Yeah.
why. That's why I meant.
We are all humans at the end of the day.
I don't care.
Whoa. Well, here's the thing too. I feel like
We're human, but we're animals. We're rooted in being animalistic. It doesn't fucking matter if you're a person or not. If you're a terrible person and I think you deserve to die, you deserve to die. I don't care. If you're
Holy
a fucking terrible person right now, and me, the thing is, that's just me. It's my
how do you decide if someone's horrible or not? That's what James is saying.
huh?
How do
You just
decide
said,
someone's
yeah.
horrible?
You just said
Based on my own morality, and I know that's like and based on my own morality, like for me, it's the basics of just if you inflicted like an extreme. This is to the extreme, to the.
Please give me an example of this extremity.
I don't really want to say.
Okay, I have one.
I think-
And here's why I'm against the death penalty in this sense. If you have a f***ing school shooter come in, murk like 20 people, right? Their person at the end, dude, if you kill 20 people like that, you're probably going to kill yourself afterwards because you don't want to face the consequences. If you have someone kill 20 people and then give them the death penalty afterwards, you're doing exactly what they wanted to do to begin with. If someone kills 20 people and they have to spend the rest of their life in jail thinking about what they did, some people might feel bad, some people might not. I don't give a no matter what, them spending the rest of their life in jail to me is a worse outcome than the death penalty.
And I want to, if we're going to go with that example, Bobby, right? So if someone's going to go out there and let's say they're targeting random innocent human beings, right? Who don't have a say in, obviously whether their life is going to end there or not. Should we then have a say in whether that, evil person gets to live? I don't know.
I don't know. I think spending the rest of their life in jail is way worse than getting the death penalty because in jail they're under horrible conditions anyways. They could possibly even get their ass beat every day or raped and all this other stuff that
Never ending.
exactly. I think that is a personal hell for that person. You know what I mean? I think they should have to live through that personal hell before they can die, and then after they die, you know what I mean? No matter what you believe afterwards.
It's not in our hands anymore.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But I don't think I don't think we should be able to kill people just because they decided they did something wrong or not.
Okay, fair. That's what I'm saying. It's to an extreme. I'm not gonna. That's why I'm also like in the middle ground of if whether the death penalty should even exist or not.
You didn't sound very middle ground.
No, I said
I would kill them myself if I feel like they're bad. That's what you said, dude.
That's
But
basically what you said.
no, I didn't say that. But like I don't know. I said I was in the middle ground because it's like you could abuse that or not. But I get what you mean. It's an eternal pain for a person, and because that they're breathing, that's their punishment.
Yeah,
I
you have
get what
to-
you mean by that.
yeah.
I don't disagree with it either.
You sounded like you disagree pretty.
I don't disagree. You can go in a lot of ways. I just prefer if they're dead.
That's not
Okay,
bad.
guys.
I can agree with
So, thank you guys for joining us
This is a
on
really crude
this-
episode, dude. I don't feel happy anymore.
latest episode of the Web Bros podcast. I know we kind of
This is so sad. We come back after a month to talk about
Well-
kill people.
this was a really interesting episode for us because we really have had a lot of conversations about what is right and what is wrong in our personal lives, and across the world as a whole. So I really felt like this was a kind of a necessary conversation to have at a time where I personally feel like a lot of people are struggling to find a medium balance, I would say, between all these different ideologies that are kind of clashing right now, whether it's different cultures, political views, religion, all of the above. Basically, I think this was an important conversation to have, and I'm glad that we were able to sit here and discuss it, even if some of our perspectives vary greatly, to say the least. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to my co-host for joining me on the podcast episode today.
I'm Elijah Reyes. I am Elijah Reyes.
And I'm Bobby Diaz.
And we will see you guys in the next episode of the Web Bros podcast. I swear, we will not leave you guys like this ever again. We're waiting. Okay, it's really an Elijah thing. I don't know what he's talking about. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this latest episode. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. That would be on Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. Also, make sure to check out the brand new Web Bros Podcast website, which you can find in all of our links on bio for basically everything that we have. We'll also have it pop up on end screen here. We will see you guys in the next episode, and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
You've been listening to
The Web Bros Podcast.
Webby!
Sticky!
the Web Bros Podcast.